Right. I think I might be live. Starting according to the 65 minutes early. I had actually changed it to 8:30, but whatever. And we're live. I think. Yes, we are. Victory. So, yeah. Today's been interesting. It's been a pretty shitty day for me, but as far as the politics goes, this is something. It's not surprising, but it's something worth discussing. Hopefully, if I go long enough, Trups will drop by. As many of you might know, he and I stream on Thursdays together. And I think, yeah, there's a lot to go through, I guess. What I want to do, and you spell intensifies wrong, it's IES, not YS. I think with what's happened, the options, yeah, there are a few options, and there are a few people who are saying we should do, oh, you know what, actually, you know what, I'm not going to spoil that, because I really want to talk about it. I want to go through what happened, through the process itself. I have the live stream up from UK Parliament, so what I'm going to do, why is Discord refreshing itself? Oh, right, it's downloading an update. Okay, never mind. What I want to do, I'm going to pull up the video of the live stream. Hopefully they don't pull it. UK Parliament, the channel, doesn't do it anyway. They don't pull live streams. But I really want to show the process that led to the vote itself. Like, I want to build to it. I know some of you have already put the spoiler in the chat. That's fine. But I want to show the more embarrassing one first. The more embarrassing vote first would be brilliant, really. Oh crap. My apologies, I have to just send a message. Right, done. Right, sorry. My apologies. Family. Yeah, I want to show the video what happens before the event. I shall confine myself. Yeah, that's right. Nah, don't worry about it. I'm just a bit of a spelling Nazi. And not a grammar Nazi. Because me and commas don't get on. Nor full stops, semicolons, and all the other punctuations. Yeah. So, this is the live stream video from the UK Parliament channel. I pulled it back about 20 minutes before the actual vote. And the idea is I want to go through some of the things that happened before and a vote that takes place before the actual vote itself. Because on my server, some people got a bit excited. They came a bit early, if you will, because we had all thought, myself included, I guess, I came a bit early, that the vote that had cropped up, why is that there? You can go. Yeah, the amendment vote. Thank you. So I want to cover that and show the process, because I think it's interesting. It also gives us an opportunity to moan about, you know, general Britishness. So let's do that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This has been a vitally important debate for the future of our country. And
this debate has been taking place all of today, and there were debates in the Commons yesterday. Thank you. Is no deal Brexit your present? No. No, it's a shit present. Because that's for lots of people, and I'm a selfish cunt, and I just want presents for me. It's an interesting present at that. So the debates have been going on for a couple of days. It was clear back at Christmas this was never going to get through. But interestingly, I don't know, there's something that really gets under my skin that will come up in this later. We'll get to it. And Corbyn is boring, but I want him to have his moment.
And our future relationship with the European Union, following the decision of the people in the 2016 referendum. The debate today is the culmination of one of the most chaotic and extraordinary parliamentary processes I've ever experienced in my 35 years as a member of this House. Parliament has held the government in contempt for the first time ever for failing to publish their legal advice. Then, for the first time in a generation or more, on the 10th of December, a government failed to move its own business in the House. The government has been defeated on a vote in its own finance bill for the first time since the 1970s.
This was the bill with the amendment that would have allowed the government to raise additional taxes in the event of a no deal. I think it was a... Yeah, it makes some sense, to be honest. But at the same time...
The Prime Minister opened the debate on her deal more than 1 month ago. A debate that was due to end on the 11th of December, but she pulled it in a panic.
She did, because she knew she was going to lose. In fact, had she had the vote then, the proposed vote of no confidence would have had... Why has there not been an alert? Why is that? Hang on a second. Since the alerts haven't cropped up, thank you Daniel Taylor for the £2, some money for your sandwich, thank you, that's very kind. And Ragnar Ulfbert for the $5 level 1 crook British People's Vote versus level 100 evil overlord Prime Minister. That's how mafia works. Quite right. But yes, had the vote taken place, had the vote taken place before Christmas, the vote of no confidence tabled against the government... Oh, okay, so that one popped up, but the other one didn't? Really? Still, thank you, Ragnarok. The vote of no confidence could have happened. It would have then... She would have lost. Let's all agree. She would have lost. And then there would have been a vote of no confidence. Then the government would be dissolved. There would be a whole new election. New leader. It would have been preferable to delaying it so close now to the D-Day itself being March the 25th. You know, yeah, he's not a career politician. 35 years, though. I bet that shirt he's wearing is the same one he wore on the first day that he admitted to buying from a co-op. Not knocking the co-op, just saying he keeps things for a long time. Except his hair.
As she herself conceded, it would have been rejected by a significant margin. She has run down the clock in a cynical attempt...
Thank you, Ventilo, for the £5. Happy birthday. It's very kind of you.
...to strong-arm members into backing her deal.
This I agree with, because you're put now into a position where you can only choose to accept the deal or go in another direction. But the only other option, because it's not been taken off the table, is no deal. And most MPs don't want that. They don't want no deal because they've built it to... Isn't he worth $3 million? His house probably is, considering where he lives, even though it looks like a piece of shit. But the no deal has been built into this boogeyman, like Northern Ireland Irish border, like Gibraltar. It's become the boogeyman, and not in the cool sense, like the guy eating worms in wrestling, because that was funny. Thank you for the happy birthdays, by the way. And yeah, Corbyn, he doesn't do ties. Oh, that one cropped up late. Quality. Thank you, Daniel. The no deal option, I think, isn't as scary as they make it out to be, and this has been agreed upon by many politicians actually, because they think that generally it's not that scary. It just means we have to then negotiate a proper deal. Considering the position we've put the EU in, we've elevated them to the status of legitimacy. I regard them the same as I regard Kim Jong-un. A totalitarian fuckhead. Authoritarian? Totalitarian? I know what I meant to say, and I probably screwed that up, but I think most of you know what I mean. Just, quite frankly, not even worth my time. And if the EU wanted legitimacy, perhaps they should have a proper elected head, you know, like everyone else does.
Despite her...
And I'm well aware that my parliament's a bit different in the sense we do first past the post, with the majority of those then having their leader of their party elect as a head. But that still kind of counts, it's fine. Did you get the cake? I have this miniature Thornton's Ultimately Indulgent Chocolate Gift Cake. I took a picture of it and I put it on Twitter while I was watching the vote go down. So it's on my desk right now, it's there. I I haven't eaten it though, because yes, I saw Sargon's video. I don't know if it would break the EU. I know there'd be a budget deficit, and that would mean other countries would have to pay in. I don't know if I agree entirely, but it was quite well made. Can someone explain what negatively would happen if England is sovereign again? Nothing. Although many would say the whole sovereign thing with regards to the Queen is bad. Some would say that.
Promises, she's failed to negotiate any changes to her deal with Europe. No wonder the Prime Minister has suddenly discovered the importance of trade unions.
Lol.
She voted to clip their wings in the 2016 Trade Union Act, and she's utterly failed to convince them she has anything to offer Britain's workforce. And this, Mr. Speaker, is the heart of the matter. The Prime Minister has treated Brexit
Bye, pencil cookie.
as a matter for the Conservative Party rather than the good of the country.
Yeah, this has been an argument that's been used a lot. I tend to agree the Conservatives haven't helped themselves, certainly with how it's been perceived, but it feels like a cheap-out excuse. If you really yourself, that is Corbyn, wanted to work with the government, which you don't, if you had wanted to begin with, you would have made offers, but you never did. In fact, you never so much as once gave an idea or an inclination that you would work with the government, which I think is a... yeah, no, he couldn't. I agree with your sarcasm there. We are here. I think it's a cop-out argument because you've never shown any kind of interest in working with them. So when they finally reach across, you just call shenanigans. And I think, and yes, Synthesizer, you're quite right. Do the Sean Connery voice yelling "lock the doors." I don't know how to do a Sean Connery voice. Do you think the EU will offer us a better deal as we near the exit date? Well, they have only two options. Well, actually three. If they could either watch what happens now and laugh their heads off. They could, like you suggested, give us a better deal. Or three, they suffer, like we do, the consequences of no deal. Now, there is a fourth. It's unlikely, but it will come up after this vote, and it pisses me off to no end. The idea of having a second vote. That fucks me off beyond belief. There are a few things that get under my skin. That's one of them. This continually used argument of, but we didn't know what we were voting on, really. We didn't vote on the terms. That's the nearest I can get to Sean Connery. I hope you like it.
But she's failed to win over even her own party. Many Conservative members who voted Remain are opposed to this deal, as are dozens of Conservative members who voted Leave. After losing her majority in the 2017 general election, the Prime Minister could have engaged with members across this House. She could have listened to the voices of trade unions.
The voices of the trade unions were listened to and then summarily rejected because their view was that we'd be better off staying in the EU. But that is not what the people voted for. How on earth are people so dense they don't get this? It's actually embarrassing. All major businesses said, let's stay in the EU. Oh, thank you, Sin, for the $10 towards the bottle of birthday booze. Thank you very much. Big business said it. Independent business said it. Trade business said it, or trade unions said it. Stay in the EU, we're better off, because then we have security. But the people didn't vote for that. They voted to leave. Therefore, your security is an afterthought to what the people want. We are, in this instance, the customer, and we are always right. And exactly, the trade unions don't represent the people. That's really another... And I know trade unions are big on labour. They really are. You know? But unfortunately, you don't represent the people either. Because you, while spending most of your career a Eurosceptic, are basically pro-EU now. I am a political Luddite. Wouldn't a second vote just so that the UK can change its mind in a relatively short space of time? Isn't that overall more damaging? A lot of people, Sam Squatch, think that if a second vote happened, we'd get the same result. So I think it's a risk, and some have used the argument of there are more. Yeah, they are. Goose is right. There are others that say we should have a second vote because there are more young people now that didn't get to vote 2 years ago, like Echo in the chat. But that's not a valid argument. You're just trying to outvote the old people. That's what you're trying to do. If you really cared, you'd go out of your way to make the old people see your point of view. Try and convince them that what they're doing is wrong. Without trying to scare them, or, I don't know, putting a clamp on the oxygen tanks keeping them alive. Or, blocking the Pez dispenser, which hooks up to all their medications.
And if she had been listening, both businesses and trade unions would have told her they wanted a comprehensive and permanent customs union to secure jobs and trade.
To do that, though, the EU has outright said the only way you get that is by being a member of the EU. As Article 50 has been triggered, unless we suspend it, revoke it, or extend it, this is not viable, because they have said no. If we are going to let them bend us over, then we have to accept that. Do you, Mr. Jam Maker, think you could negotiate a deal where we get a customs union which would stop us from trading around the world, all the while claiming that you think you could do it and give us trade around the world, which is what we want? Freedom to operate under our own terms. Is that so hard to believe? Yeah, Adam Kim, I'm glad you don't want another vote. It's a shame you obviously, you couldn't vote then because you weren't old enough. But I'm glad that you agree a second vote is not wise. It is an absolute insult to democracy to push for such a motion under the guise of it being, and this is something someone will say, the people's vote. Wahahaha. No.
The decision to rule out a new customs union with a British say and the lack of certainty in the deal risks business investment being deferred on an even greater scale, threatening jobs and threatening living standards. Or even worse, it risks many companies relocating abroad, taking jobs and investment with them. Mr. Speaker, many workers know exactly this situation.
Many of them voted to leave.
Because they are facing...
See you later, Hitler's second coming.
This reality now. Their jobs are at risk, and they know their jobs are at risk.
Whisk. Yeah, and many of them still voted to leave. The blue-collar workers that are supposedly intellectually stunted. Yeah, they voted leave. Numbnuts.
Both the First Ministers of Wales and Scotland have also made clear to the Prime Minister...
Yeah, I'm just going to say now, while Scotland did majority vote to remain in the EU, their voices haven't been ignored. They've just refused to engage on the discussion because all they want is to stay in the customs union, single market, free movement, retain free movement. Basically, stay in the EU. Scotland has shown, or the SNP have shown, they are unwilling to bend and talk and even compromise with us on anything. So there's no reason for the UK Parliament to compromise with them when they're showing they don't want to. And Wales, if I remember correctly, didn't Wales vote to leave the EU? In fact, let's go quickly check. I'm going to go quickly check that. Did Wales vote to leave EU? Because I think they did. Okay. Leave the European Union won in Wales by about 3.78%. Oh, no, sorry. Won by a majority of 1,269,501, which might be a slightly larger majority than the UK. Than England, sorry. Let's have a look. England voted... Oh, yeah, no, fuck that. I'm not going into that. That's just... Oh, God. It's a mess. I'm pretty sure it's a slightly larger or similar majority. And yeah, so Wales voted to leave. So whatever you're about to say about Wales, shut the fuck up with the devolved administration nonsense. Wales voted to leave.
Their support for a customs union.
They voted leave, you retard. Oh. Scotland voted drunk. They probably did, to be fair.
To protect jobs and the economy. This deal fails to provide any certainty about future trade.
They probably did, actually, and that's why a lot of England voted to leave. Because central government, it's just very elite. I mean, I could put money on any one of these people here in this room having a suit that's worth more than my house. And that's because they cut costs in making the houses. By the way, and I'm going to say this now, later when the vote happens, I actually had a good laugh at something, and it's a petty thing. But, okay, so if you're going bald, right, what's the one hairstyle you don't do? I'll give you guys in the chat a chance to work it out. But I saw it on a very young guy who's bald, or going bald. And you could tell because the entire back of his head was shiny. But then, yeah, it is, Mini Lisper gets the point. The comb over. And this guy's not old. And I saw it and I was like, oh my god, Bobby Charlton. Who the fuck does a Bobby Charlton with that? Oh dear. And for those who don't know who that is, football. Soccer to the Americans. It just cracked me up. Someone over here, when the votes happen, you'll see him because I'm going to get there.
Fails.
Just a mohawk would look amazing on a bald guy, don't you think? Because he'd have a bald patch, but he'd have a mohawk at the front and then a big gap in the middle. So
to guarantee our participation in European agencies and initiatives, losing this cooperation undermines our security, denies our citizens opportunity, and damages our industries.
The argument that's been made, a regular argument, is that we are going to be poorer based on projections which have been summarily rejected and debunked. And they've been debunked because the same institutions that made projections about Brexit got it wrong. Yes, we will not be as wealthy. That does not mean we will be poorer. It is based on absolute bullshit. And I say bullshit in like the weakest possible sense. People know what I mean. Shut up, commie.
Mr. Speaker, the withdrawal agreement is, in short, a reckless leap in the dark.
It's not necessarily a leap in the dark, Jeremy. It's more a leap into fog, because you haven't got a fucking clue where you're going. You mean you're given a rough idea, but you've got no idea. And there is, by the way, in this fog, this very dense fog, there is a cliff edge. We're not going to tell you where it is, but at some point, you're going to walk over it, and it's going to scare the shit out of you.
It takes this country no closer to understanding our post-Brexit future, and neither does the future partnership document. Under
the future partnership document's a load of crap. The letter that was released, I put it in my video today. That letter, if anyone did pause and read it, it was quite telling. The EU didn't give the assurances the Prime Minister needed. It, in fact, outright stated, "No, we're not going to talk. We're not going to talk about this. We're not going to do this. No, fuck that. In it, bruv. Swag. Hashtag Logang for life."
this deal, in December 2020, we will be faced with a choice: either pay more and extend the transition period, or lock us into the backstop.
The backstop. Earlier today, during the debates, there was someone in Parliament, the Attorney General, who had featured as a thumbnail for one of my political streams because he looked like he was going to cry. Someone was defending him, basically. And the part that really interested me was that he did make it clear many times about the third country argument, the vassal state argument. He really did go into detail on that, explaining that there are countries all around the world that qualify as third countries. This is not something new. The Attorney General is a lying fuck. He did go into a lot of detail about the backstop, although I'm pretty sure he was bullshitting. And Boxing Fan, Scotland wants independence but wants to join the EU. Yeah, this is a funny thing about a nationalist party wanting to leave one union to rejoin another, where they moan their voices aren't heard in this parliament. Just imagine how their voices will be heard in a parliament of 27 other countries. Honestly. I would love to be Ian Blackford when he's sat there at night praying to whichever fake god it is he wastes his time schmoozing with to try and get his voice heard and some paper in his hand so he can fiddle it.
At that point, the UK would be over a barrel. We would have left the EU, have lost the UK rebate, and
The rebate isn't as... Oh my god. The rebate is a refund on what we pay into the EU anyway. So that's not really a talking point, is it?
Forced to pay whatever was demanded.
The 39 billion was estimated to be what would be 3 years' worth of membership to the EU. That is what the 39 billion is. The obvious thing about the backstop is then, do we continue to pay? Well, actually, no, because we would have left. But Northern Ireland becomes that third country, which we don't want. I'd rather it was Scotland, to be honest, at this point. In fact, I stand by my original idea. Move Northern Ireland to Scotland and move Scotland to Northern Ireland. We'll call what was Scotland, we'll call it New Northern Ireland. And New Scotland can have fun with Ireland. You'll have a great time. You're both alcoholics.
Alternatively, the backstop would come into force, an arrangement with which there is no time limit or endpoint. It locks Britain into a deal from which it cannot leave without the agreement of the EU.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I don't support the backstop. The EU don't want the backstop either. They've said they don't. He doesn't understand. He doesn't, and that's why his financial policies are spend, and borrow everything. I mean, there are only so many gilts you can actually approve before, honestly, at that point, you may as well just sell the land, the very country we exist on, and move everyone else onto... well, a much smaller one. I guess we should all 65 million should invade Guernsey. I think... Oh dear, no, let's continue.
And as my friend, the member for Holborn and St Pancras, has pointed out on so many occasions, this is unprecedented.
Holborn and St Pancras, the MP for that, is this man here, Sir Keir Starmer, who doesn't like the title, but he is Sir Keir Starmer, who, rather interestingly, as a lawyer, has a very interesting career. If you want to look him up, Keir Starmer, he's wasted some people's time. He really has. He had to resign from his job as head of Crown Prosecution Service because of some of the stupid shit he did. Yeah.
In British history. The last 2 years gives us no confidence that this government can do a deal in under 2 years. So at some point before December 2020, the focus would then inevitably shift from negotiations on the future relationship to negotiations on an extension to the transition period.
Okay, so the extending of the transition period, most people who do know this, to those who don't, the transition period, when Omegon moves his mouse over him, he shapeshifts. Yes. The transition period is the period of time allotted to actually finish negotiating. See, we can agree to leave on March 25th, but the transition period gives us all that time to finish negotiating all the vagueness that we have from the original agreement, the 585-page document, or the 26-page withdrawal agreement that most of you have already seen. And as the deal is already bad, we're going into a transition period with a deal where they can just bend us even further. At some point, we are basically going to be touching our ankles while they fuck us. Because this deal is so bad. It is right, and many people know this from the result already. It's a bad deal. No, it's not about hormones.
including...
Oh, and another extension that's been argued for is extension to Article 50 to negotiate a new deal. The withdrawal agreement with Norway was over 1,000 pages. That's impressive. I didn't know Norwegian language went that far. Oh dear, Mandy.
Negotiations on what further payments we should make to the European Union. The vague partnership document says, and I quote, "It can lead to a spectrum of different outcomes as well as checks and controls."
Yep. Pretty vague, don't you agree? This is one of the times when Jeremy Corbyn's kind of on the right side. It's just a shame with what's about to happen, he's not showing anything that would indicate he has what we need in office. He'll then use Brexit's been the real problem, we should just shelve it, and he'll probably then push for all that unnecessary spending that will inevitably cause the economy to tank, kind of some of the stuff in Venezuela's. Is a no-deal Brexit more likely? Yes and no, and we'll get to that later.
That doesn't show to me any clarity whatsoever in that document.
And tossed up because they are tossers. Grumpy, grumpy tossers.
And there is not even any mention of the famed frictionless trade that was promised in the Chequers proposals. The former Brexit secretary, that's one of the former Brexit secretaries, promised a detailed, precise and substantive document. The government spectacularly failed to deliver it. So, Mr. Speaker, I can confirm this, that Labour will vote against this deal tonight.
They weren't the only ones. How much is the Zionist paying these crooks? I honestly, I don't know. We need Noel Edmonds to sort it. Oh, yeah. Noel Edmonds, hasn't he moved to New Zealand now?
And Mr.
Jar
Speaker,
Jar Corbyn. Misa thinking he's wanting to make some jam, yeah? Betcha.
Labour will vote against it because it's a bad deal for this country.
But on the table, you only have a bad deal or no deal. And you want to remove no deal and vote against the bad deal, leaving nothing. What do you do when you have nothing to work with? I assume you assume the position. You stick your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. Pucker up, Jeremy.
And as we have heard over the past week, members in all parties, including many in the Conservative Party, will join us in rejecting this botched and damaging deal.
It is a botched and damaging deal, I agree. But by that extension, I would prefer no deal to this deal, and you want to remove no deal. I think I've made my opinion quite clear on the subject. For those who haven't seen it, it was on my channel today. My sort of final views on this. I think I covered it reasonably enough. I felt the need to do more of an opinion thing because, yeah, fuck it.
And I welcome the fact there is a clear majority to reject any no-deal outcome. The amendment to the Finance Bill last week demonstrated the will of the House on rejecting the danger, and it is a danger, of a no-deal outcome.
Actually, this is an interesting thing. The House voted against... excuse me. Excuse me again. They voted on an amendment that would allow the government to raise taxes in the event of no deal. That's really interesting because they voted against raising taxes, something which you are very much in favour of. Do you think your policies will get through? I mean, I'm more than happy for the Parliament to vote it down because, quite frankly, it's funny, but do you actually think you're going to get your bill through now? Because hang on, did someone just join the voice chat?
Yes,
Magnus,
I did.
Hello.
I was interested in the politics of ye olde Great Britain there.
Well, the vote is happening today, and I'm playing video and just doing a bit of response to it.
Well, hey, there you go. Well, I mean, why? But what they voted on an amendment to raise taxes. What good is
That was last week. In the event of a no deal, the government could not raise taxes. Today,
could not. Okay.
Today,
actually, that was a smart.
Yeah, today they voted on the deal, which I'm getting to soon.
Well, there you go.
Oh, and it's not Trups in the chat. It's Magnus, another person, a friend of mine.
Yep. Hello.
Um,
I've been meaning to hop in on one of these just to chit chat about it, but I've just
Anytime.
kind of.
Anytime. I'm going to keep playing if that's okay with you.
Oh, keep going. I'll just kind of throw in what commentary I hear from what you say.
Sweet.
That would cause such chaos to so many people across this country. But, Mr. Speaker, it's not enough for the House to vote against the deal before us and against no...
Okay, he's putting the idea across. It's not enough to vote against the deal. I assume he's going in the direction of the no confidence motion and then moving aside for a new government to take place. Take over and rule the land.
You do realize that if they do that, I'm hoping we get the whole entire House of Lords and House of Commons all screaming, vote now, vote now, vote now.
People in my chat saying hello, by the way.
Well, hello. I can't see any of you because all I can see is the Discord, so
deal.
hello to everybody who said hi.
I'm going to keep pressing play.
We also have to be for something.
Oh, we have to be for something. Oh, for fuck's sake. The problem is with the idea of being for something, the government is for giving the people what they voted for. The people, Labour, are for... That silence, by the way, is exactly what they're for. Scotland, or the SNP, sorry, are for remaining in the EU. And the DUP, well, as long as they're not treated differently to everyone else, they don't really give a shit. Yeah,
surprise.
For the unicorns, yeah, you're quite right in the chat. Yes, Discord is a gaming server thing, but I use it for patrons and lovely friends like Magnus.
Yes. Well, technically, in a way, I'm a patron too. I just buy you games and toys and things.
Very true. It's very kind of you, by the way.
Right. Anytime.
I'm going to press play.
So, Mr. Speaker, in the coming days, it is vital that this House has the opportunity to debate and vote on the way forward, to consider all the options available. The overwhelming majority of the House voted to respect the result of the referendum.
In the chat, Cave Critter, Corbyn is trying to sabotage. I'll be honest, I have to agree, but I also tend to believe that Theresa May has sabotaged this.
Well, actually, this is like a golden opportunity for Jeremy Corbyn if you ask an outsider's opinion like myself.
It is. Absolutely. He doesn't even have to provide an
answer. At first he seemed like he was doing his Machiavellian machinations and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the funny part. Now that Theresa May has screwed the pooch so hard, I think Jeremy Corbyn's actually torn between swinging toward, being the gallant hero and coming in to save the day for the people, and still sabotaging Brexit.
Well, that's actually something in the chat. People are saying that how an arrogance sabotaged the crappy deal. Someone pointed out the deal is a capitulation, which is a fantastic word, by the way. It's accurate, very, very much succinct on the point. I'll press play again.
And therefore voted to trigger Article 50. So I say this to our negotiating partners in the European Union.
Oh, by the way, if you hear odd noises, just don't mind it. I actually turned the volume on my microphone up.
I thought you were eating, so it didn't matter to me in the slightest.
Oh, no, I'm just smoking. That's why I say I turned the...
don't worry about it.
You might even just hear me breathing, for crying out loud.
That's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Parliament votes down this deal, then reopening negotiations should not and cannot be ruled out.
Oh no, they took the stream offline, the cunts. I'll have to give it a few minutes and hopefully this will come back online. He mentioned the extension. Yeah, renegotiation stuff. Yeah, that's not going to happen. They've already said it's not going to happen.
Yeah, so why are they so that I'd heard about that, but why are they so head up on a renegotiation when they were told we're not going to renegotiate?
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. Let's see if I can find a decent... that's her addressing Parliament before the vote. Okay, I'm going to try and find... oh, right. This is a vote. Is this the vote in question, though?
Well, and while you're doing that, now would probably be a good time for me to throw out a shill, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
First episode of Toy Collecting for Broke Nerds is now up on my channel, if anybody's interested.
Oh, yes. I will link Magnus Deacon's channel after the stream, because I found Sky News have a video of it. So thankfully, we are able to continue. But this is a slightly different video layout.
Oh, boy.
Because they've... Sky have got this weird setup. I do apologise to people watching. Let's see if I can drag that
Aren't Sky News the same weirdos that were doing the whole air conditioning as sexist horse crap?
Probably, yeah. I'm going to press play on the Sky one now. But this is after the First Amendment, which is the power for the UK to end the backstop without permission from the EU. So this is the vote to end the backstop without permission from the EU.
One tweeter said he's giving Labour MPs there at what's called the bar of the House.
And process is 2 people from yes and 2 people from no will then be the ones that announce the vote. That's how it goes. They declare the vote, they bow a few times, approach the box, and is it really Omegon's birthday, Tarstark? Yes, it is. Today is my birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday, man. I forgot all about that.
And Doctor, I tried the Parliament Live TV thing you put on my server. I couldn't get into it. My internet would not let me, so we're using YouTube instead. And Lock the Doors is ominous. We'll get to that part soon enough.
May said in her...
I'm 33. I feel fucking ancient.
Oh, shut up. I'm 42.
I did get a little bit... I got some money, which was nice. And I bought myself a PlayStation. You know, the ones with the pre-built games in it, and you can still put the old games in.
Oh, the PlayStation Classic.
Yeah, I've got the Mega Drive one right on my desk here. I've got the PlayStation. And I've got some PS1 games that aren't on it. Like, the very first one I bought was SmackDown 2, and I've got it. And I'm like, fucking yes.
Oh, I actually had an orgasm earlier because it turns out that I got overcharged for a pre-order that I made on one of the websites I frequent.
This is the...
Right.
So, one of the figures that I had to give up last payday because I didn't quite get enough in my bonus to get it, I actually got credit for it because I'd accidentally paid for one figure twice. It was the exact same price.
Right, brilliant. I'm going to press play because there's a vote. This Tory Brexit amendment, which I'll be honest, power for the UK to end the backstop without permission from the EU. It's a dick move, but I kind of actually am okay with it. You know, I'm okay. Oh, yeah, so I'm okay with it. I'm going to press play now, and so you can see how this process works.
In government, I'm just keeping an eye on whether we're going to get a result on this. We are expecting it amongst the Democrats. We'd like to see by how many.
Where's the fourth twerp? I think it's him there.
Count up the votes.
4 people do a little
lining
bow.
up there to tell us, yeah, right in front of the speaker. Let's hear.
Oh, of course.
Order. The ayes to the right were 24. The noes to the left were 600.
600. So basically, the noes had this one by not just this is for the amendment, not the main bill. So they're gonna a little process happens here. The speaker will announce the result, and then he'll say unlock, so that those 4 people can fuck off back to their parties.
The ayes to the right, 24. The noes to the left, 600.
This isn't the main vote, though, guys. For those who are watching, this is an amendment. This isn't on the main bill. So we're going to get to that.
The noes have it. The noes have it.
600 traitors. Is 600 a record? I don't know.
Well, let's put the numbers up.
There have been some bills that have got landslides, though, so I guess it depends.
24, a vast majority, and if
a rare occasion there where you've got the 2 big parties voting the same way.
Yeah, we should say against
that. Yeah, and 24. I mean, I said it was the right wingers, if you like, and the hardline Brexiteers, and not many more.
576 majority. Even if we'll just listen to what the speaker's ruling is now.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to be talking in everybody's ears.
Right, so what you're seeing now, they're now all going to vote on the main deal. This is it. Rather annoyingly, we're having to use Sky because they're providing the commentary, and quite frankly, it's fucking irritating. But
So the moment
this
of
goes on
truth
for a while.
arrives.
I will mute this and let it take its course. Corbyn in. You know, it might happen. It may well happen. And the speaker, yeah, he's not old, so, yeah, not surprising. His predecessor couldn't have done that. I think with what has transpired now, we're in a bit of an odd position. I think this is a really good process, I have to admit. There is one bone of contention I want to raise now, though. There is an MP in that parliament who's in a wheelchair. Now, she's in a wheelchair because she is meant to have an emergency caesarean, but because for some reason Parliament has yet to ratify any kind of process for someone to vote in someone else's stead or use electronic means, which I support, this person had to postpone their caesarean and vote in a wheelchair and be in that situation under the circumstances. And thank you, Socky, for that donation.
Happy birthday to CTHU.
Oh,
Happy
God.
birthday to
Socky the real, keeping it real.
Happy
With
birthday,
text-to-speech.
Homegone.
CTU.
Happy birthday to
CTHU.
CTHU.
What does CTHU mean? Have you just forgotten
Probably
to spell the...
Cthulhu.
Well, he's missing the LH and U, isn't he?
Yeah, probably.
Thank you for the donation, though. This vote is one of the biggest votes that's happened in a long, long time in this country, and it's really important that people get to see it. Yeah, I know it's Cthulhu. Thank you. I do wonder what will happen next. I may have to find a different video once the vote comes in, because I'm going to do it now, actually. Fuck it. We'll skip ahead to it. I kind of want to see what the MPs say afterwards, though, because that's important. Oh, look at that! They got a little group of people outside. Let's skip ahead a little more. Oh, nearly there. Almost there. This might be it.
Agreements.
Right,
that,
so
will
just waiting
lead
for two
us-
more
Theresa
people.
May
I
says
think
to an
this is the
orderly
vote.
exit from the
Yeah.
European Union on March the 29th.
Make England
this
great
year,
again. Mega,
agreeing to pay
yes.
the European
Voted
Union
for a
about
car crash with no
39
windscreen or
billion
seatbelts.
pounds, going into a transition
Make
period
Great
when the
Britain great
UK
again. How
will
about
stay in
that?
total
Yeah, but it doesn't have a
alignment
nice ring
with
to it, does
the
it?
European
That's the
Union,
problem.
While the future trade arrangement
Can't market
is
that like
thrashed
MAGA or
out.
mega.
Mate, I just got a bit of
Underlying
breaking
all
news.
that, the backstop.
Just a bit of breaking news. I understand that.
Hell, I don't care.
Tom
Hell, yeah.
Purslove
Did
is
you
resigning as
see
PPS.
where Trump bought a whole metric shit ton of McDonald's hamburgers and things for a big party he had?
I did wonder if that was real or not. If that's real, that's amazing.
That is real, and that's probably the most brilliant thing he's ever done. Unlike Theresa May, who screwed the pooch so hard, the Brexit still hasn't happened.
Yeah.
When Britain's holding all the cards, the EU has jack and shit.
Yeah.
And she still managed to fuck it
To
up.
Dave Styles in the chat, yes, I know the vote has happened. It's why we're recapping it, because there are points that are made afterwards by other people as well, along with the statement Theresa May makes, the statement Corbyn makes. I really want to address it all, so I thought I'd skip back a little and do a recap.
He
So
will
let's play that.
Sorry, as a
Parliamentary
vice
private
chair,
sector.
forgive me,
Right,
a vice
okay.
chair. He was a former BPS. He's
Here
a
we go.
vice chair of the
This should be
Conservative
the
Party.
vote.
I understand Tom Purslove,
Press
who was a
play.
arch.
We've got the result.
Order. The ayes to the right, 202.
Oh, Joe just reminded me. I need to show you that new intro I made for my video series.
You literally interrupted the vote.
Oh, well, say that. I want to go down in history for that. Somebody mark it on a calendar.
Honestly, I had this in my head that someone else would donate the moment it happened, because I know somebody that does that. So I'm going to press play on it so they do the vote now, so they announce what the result is, okay?
The arch.
We've got the result.
Right.
Order. The ayes to the right, 202. The noes to the left, 432. The ayes to the right, 202.
There we have it, the withdrawal agreements defeated by a majority of 230. 202 voting for the Prime Minister's withdrawal agreement, 432 MPs saying no to Theresa May. Faisal Islam, our political editor, and that's
Oh god,
right
this guy better
at
not
the top
continue
end of
speaking,
expectations.
because I kind of want to hear what
Horrific.
he's just talking
that the
over
House does
everything.
not
Shut the
support this
fuck up.
deal, but
Right. What's up? Trups, join us if you're here, by the way. I see you in the chat. Although I'll have to set up a rabbit room if you join, which I'm quite happy to do. Odds of May resigning now. Well, I don't believe she will just yet. A vote of no confidence will happen in the government. She said she will fight. So I guess it does depend on what she wants to do. She can fight a vote of no confidence. Oh, work, you're still there, are you? I'm sorry to hear that. Anyway, yes, press and
tonight's
play.
vote tells us nothing about what it does support. Nothing about
Oh, this is bitchy. Press and
how,
play again.
nothing about how or even if it intends to honour the decision the British people took in a referendum Parliament decided to hold. And people, particularly EU citizens who've made their home here, and UK citizens living in the EU, deserve clarity on these questions as soon as possible.
This is quite a weird bit of spin from Theresa May, because instead of initially addressing the defeat, odds of government winning, no confidence, low. But instead of addressing the concerns of Parliament, although, let's face it, they were never going to vote in favour of it because most of them want to remain anyway,
Right.
she's instead attacked them for not providing clarity on their position. But based on your own deal, you've offered no clarity either. You don't really have much of a leg to stand on, which makes this very difficult. I can't support what you say at the same time, but also have to point out your own blinding hypocrisy. Carry on. Press play again.
Order! Order! There's no good people shouting. There will
Oh,
be an opportunity for
you
other points
Brits
of
and your
order, but
silly
the Prime Minister
politicians.
must
Indeed.
and will be heard. The Prime Minister.
Those whose jobs rely on our trade with the EU need that clarity. So, with your permission, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to set out briefly how the government intends to proceed.
Right, I'm going to play this next bit and not interrupt it, because there are some points she has to make that are quite important. So there's going to be a bit of just her talking for a while, provided Sky don't interrupt. Or Magnus burp. Or Magnus burping, of course.
Oh, I'm not taking another drink of coffee right this minute. You're good.
Sweet.
First, we need to confirm whether this government still enjoys the confidence of the House.
Lol.
I believe that it does, but given the scale and importance of tonight's vote, it's right that others have the chance to test that question if they wish to do so. I can therefore confirm that if the official opposition table a confidence motion this evening, in the form required by the Fixed Term Parliaments Act, the government will make time to debate that motion tomorrow. And if, as happened before Christmas, the official opposition declined to do so, we will, on this occasion, consider making time tomorrow to debate any motion in the form required from the other opposition parties, should they put one forward. Second, if the House confirms its confidence in this government, I will then hold meetings with my colleagues, our confidence and supply partner, the DUP, and senior
What?
I'm sorry. I just browsing some memes on the Twitter machine, and there's a new one of I'll put it in shit posting.
All right, I'll check that out in a minute. I'm going to press play on this again, okay?
Yeah, that's why I said
parliamentarians from
you go
across the
ahead.
House
I'll just put it
to
in shit
identify
posting.
what would
You
be
can see it when
required
you're
to
done.
secure the backing of the House. The government will approach these meetings in a constructive spirit, but given the urgent need to make progress, we must focus on ideas that are genuinely negotiable and have sufficient support in this House. Third, if these meetings yield such ideas, the government will then explore them with the European Union. Mr. Speaker, I want to end by offering two reassurances. The first is to those who fear that the government's strategy is to run down the clock to the 29th of March.
This is a long-held fear. I feel like right now it interject that the government wants to run down the clock. I genuinely had believed that this vote might be postponed again just to bring us to the point where we have to either accept the deal on the day and not give Parliament the say that they were given, and then at the same time run it down either for that or for no confidence. So I'll play the rest.
It's not our strategy. I've always believed that the best way forward is to leave in an orderly way with a good deal, and have devoted much of the last 2 years negotiating such a deal. As you confirmed, Mr. Speaker, the amendment to the business motion tabled last week by my right honourable and learned...
Did Theresa May lose people in the chat? I don't think she did, actually. She had 120, I think it was, vote against her in the confidence vote. She barely had a majority anyway. I think she may have swung some of the voters on her side and gained some from the other side as well, because there are some Labour members who are Brexiteers. So I'll continue anyway.
...friend, the member for Beaconsfield, is not legally binding, but the government respects the will of the House. We will therefore make a statement about the way forward and table an amendable motion by Monday. The second reassurance is to the British people who voted to leave the European Union in the referendum 2.5 years ago. I became Prime Minister immediately after that referendum. I believe it's my duty to deliver on their instruction, and I intend to do so.
Sounds like you got the same problem I do.
Every day that passes without this issue being resolved,
it's cold out,
more
and all the weather
more
changes,
bitterness,
screwing
and more
with me,
rancour.
making me cough, making my nose run.
It's unfortunate. So in a minute, Jeremy Corbyn is going to give a statement on this as well, and we will get to that. Hopefully, we'll get Ian Blackford's as well, because his one really pisses me off, but I really want to play it. So we'll keep going and see if we can get there.
Heard what the House has said tonight, but I ask members on all sides of the House to listen to the British people who want this issue settled and to work with the government to do just that.
I will come to other colleagues, but first of all, point of order, the Leader of the Opposition, Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The result of tonight's vote is the greatest defeat for a government since the 1920s in this House. This is a catastrophic defeat for this government. After 2 years of failed negotiations, the House of Commons has delivered its verdict on her Brexit deal, and that verdict is absolutely decisive. I hear the words of the Prime Minister, but actions of her government of the past 2 years speak equally clearly.
Have to keep flipping up the microphone so I'm not hacking a lung up in your ear.
Now to try to keep her failed process and deal alive after it's been so roundly rejected by Parliament on behalf of the people of this country.
The deal hasn't really been rejected by the people because the deal hasn't come to the people. But I will admit, if the deal did go to the people, it would be rejected. But it hasn't been rejected by us because we haven't had a say on it. It's been you guys. And then we just criticise it because we can.
You know, the funny part about that is the UK right now almost seems like bizarro America, where you guys as politicians, you have like none that really give a crap about you guys, and we've got Donald Trump who at least pretends he gives a shit about us.
Well, okay.
If nothing else.
Can't spell sucky without UK. Sorry, did I interrupt again?
Thank you, Socky, for the donation. I do believe Corbyn, he does care about human rights. That's something he's very passionate about. So I give him credit for that. He's very committed in that department. I think there is a bit of a, I don't know, it is an elitist thing where they just, he and many others believe they act in the interest of the people. And it's just very unhelpful.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Labour has laid out our priorities consistently. No deal must be taken. No deal must be taken off the table. A permanent customs union must be secured.
The only way you get a permanent customs union is by staying in the EU. So his idea is bullshit. Continuing.
And people's rights and protections must be guaranteed so they do not fall behind.
The only way you do that is by staying in the EU.
At every turn, the Prime Minister has closed the door on dialogue. Businesses begged her to negotiate.
Interrupting reminds me of a joke about a cow. I'll tell
you guys need to get the hell out of the EU.
If jokes aren't banned in the next few hours.
Socky, thank you again for the donation. That's very kind of you. Hello, is Bloodwing here? I didn't realise that. If he is, that's cool.
Comprehensive Customs
Saki's
Union,
just teasing
trade
you with a
union
little minor
leaders
donation.
pressed her for the same thing. They were ignored. In the last 2 years, she's only had one priority, the Conservative Party. Her governing principle of delay and denial has reached the end of the line. She cannot seriously believe that after 2 years of failure, she is capable of negotiating a good deal for the people of this country.
As many of you may not be aware, a week ago, or not even that really, this man stood up in Wakefield and he made a speech about Brexit. He was summarily humiliated because he couldn't provide answers to anything. He in fact didn't give a position on what he thinks Brexit is, or what Labour would do if they were in power. Therefore, I put it to you that this man is a worse option to Theresa May and no deal. In the sense that he doesn't even have a policy. He believes he can renegotiate, but it's been outright rejected. Do you really believe the EU are suddenly going to be like, a new government? Hey, we could probably negotiate a better deal and totally fuck the UK. Actually, they might for that. So you never know. And the Bronze Goose, thank you for the £5 super chat. Socky isn't the only one who can play this game. I'm liking this game. Please keep playing it. Thank you. I'll continue.
I'm just waiting on one of them to start making it rain like you're a stripper.
One of them does do that when he pops in. He normally donates like 79 pence. And then he goes, who's daddy? I'll keep playing now. Corbyn's got more to say yet.
Oh boy.
The most important issue facing us is that the government has lost the confidence of this House and this country. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, inform you I have now tabled a motion of no confidence in this government.
There we go, we have it. It's official. Jeremy Corbyn has officially declared no confidence and moved for a vote of no confidence. Now what's going to happen is tomorrow, ordinarily, there would be PMQs, and I'm going to quickly, while I talk, check, because I don't think it'll be on. So what I do is I go to BBC. Because what happens is, all day tomorrow, all day, there will be a debate on this. And I think, oh yeah, they're gonna debate the crap out of this, and it's gonna get very interesting. So apparently at midday tomorrow, PMQs are still listed as going on. Apparently, Otaku Gamer Judas, thank you for the $5 donation. I'll join in, much appreciated.
There you go.
So PMQs may well happen, but at the same time, it might not because the vote of no confidence is taking place. And Soggy, fuck's sake.
Press F.
Fine, I'll indulge you. I'll press F. I assume that's because of the picture you put on Discord of your avatar being hung. Dear oh dear. Let's continue anyway, because he's tabled the motion. I've been waiting for this. It's golden.
And
So let's
I'm
play for play.
pleased.
Press play.
I'm pleased that motion will be debated tomorrow, so this House can give its verdict on the sheer incompetence of this government and pass that motion of
Well, at
no
least Jeremy
confidence
Corbyn
in
had
the
the balls
government.
to move for the vote of no confidence.
Right, well, what will happen now is they'll debate... Oh, thank you, Budfields, for the $5 donation. What will happen now, they'll debate it, and then it will happen, I think, tomorrow evening, actually. If it does, though, and the government loses, then we end up with a general election. And that's not good. That's going to cause a lot of problems, because so close to the deadline, this has to happen fast. Which is going to make...
Boy.
I mean, oh, thank you, Bronze Goose, for the £5 super chat. F. Everyone press F, please. I did see another donation, I think, and it didn't pop up. Let me just check quickly, because I think it did. Oh yeah, Dead in the Dam, £2, right in the boat race, Yahoo. Oh, there. Okay, it's finally popped up. Thank you for that donation. People have been very generous this evening. I'm very happy with this. The election, if it does happen, though, if it does, we'd have to then have a leadership election within the Conservatives while doing a general election. The only reason Corbyn's doing this is because realistically, before 2022, This is the only real opportunity he has to beat her. Realistically, this is the only real chance. If he loses tomorrow, which it will astonish me to be honest, if he loses, then he's on the back foot and she's even stronger. Which, if anything, would then make it more likely her deal will eventually get through Parliament. Let's continue.
First of all, just come to the leader. I will come to the right honourable gentleman, of course, but a point of order, the leader of the House.
Oh, no, we're skipping ahead a little.
To the right honourable lady's statement.
The reason why I'm skipping is because she was going to go through the day's reading for tomorrow about how the procedure goes. We don't need that. I want Ian Blackfoot, so I'm going to press play now.
Be entirely proper and doubtless helpful to the House. Point of order, Mr. Ian Blackfoot.
Mr. Speaker, we should be aware of the situation that we're in. The clock is ticking. We have got very little time to resolve this. The fact that it has taken us so long to get to this point.
The leader of the Scottish National Party in the House of Commons makes some points.
Fuck you. Right, I'm going to go back here a second, because I really, really, really want to see what he says. Oh, the UK Parliament channel still isn't right. Hang on, let's see if I can find Ian Blackfoot Brexit. Let's see if I can find him talking in Parliament today. No, that's before the walkout. Okay, let's have a look. Upload dates. This might help. 'Point of order. 1 hour ago. No, that's not it. Oh, Echo. Thank you for the £2 super chat. Pound has gone up. Ian Blackfoot addresses Corbyn and Labour MPs. That was from 4 hours ago. That's not it. No, this is before it. Okay, so I guess I'll have to talk about it instead. What he does, he talks about how Scotland was ignored. How Scotland's interests were ignored. He talks about how there should be a people's vote and a second referendum, how we should stay in the single market and the customs union. This is what he wants. This is what Ian Blackford, the paper fiddler, wants. And this is a problem because we can't give him that. Which is unsurprising, really, because to get that, to keep that, you have to stay in the customs union, single market, and basically just stay in the EU altogether. And thank you, Lady Justice, for the birthday wishes. It's very kind of you. So all in all, it's unlikely, and not surprisingly, that the pound has started recovering, considering all of this.
Well, you guys are doing something right. The pound is worth more than $1.
Still, which is good. Although it's not so strong, which is good for me because it means any money I ever receive through AdSense is always worth a little bit more in pounds. The weaker the pound, the more money I get, which is better.
Oh, there you go.
Because it's always done in dollars, which is quite nice.
This is, well, yeah. Well, see, how do you like having the pay gap? Because the British pound is worth 77 cents,
and Budfield
equals an American dollar.
Yeah, Budfield and Che, you're quite right. She did ignore it. I think there was always going to be a problem with UK Parliament that supersedes all the other devolved administrations, because there's an elitist part to that as well, which I've mentioned a few times. I do think compromise could have been reached, but unfortunately, all we see is the SNP in Parliament say we want to stay in the single market and customs union, but to do that would mean to stay in the EU altogether, which would go against the vote of the UK as a whole. By ignoring the UK Parliament, ignoring their rule, their power, they're putting their own interests above the greater countries or the United Kingdom's interests. If we have to do it a different way, then the only realistic way to actually get it so everyone's happy would be to break up the United Kingdom, which is not ideal, because I'm not sure any of the other countries would survive so well with whatever money it is they're able to raise. Just going to say, I'm not convinced they could actually do that.
Well, if they leave, you guys kicked their asses once and took their countries over, you could do it again.
I think if we get bored enough, we could take France. If we're bored enough.
Yeah, but who the hell wants France?
So what we'll do is we'll dig up a part of it just to make our country bigger. We'll just drag it over,
Oh, well, yeah.
All in all, this has been quite tragic. And I think the EU is going to suffer if we leave with no deal. The EU is going to suffer badly. The UK as well. We'd have to act very fast to get any deals to offset the import, certainly for food, which is 30%. Medicine is very key. We would have to work very fast to get deals to offset the loss. Yeah, things going to be fucked. But as I said, thank you for the cocktail in the chat.
Well, now, to be fair...
Sorry, go on.
To be fair, though, Omegon, you know Donald Trump's probably, like, crouched on the sidelines waiting to pounce on the UK for trade deals as soon as the EU's got the boot.
And hello, Tailed Feature. You've missed most of the stream, unfortunately. I'm not going to be going much longer, sadly, because I've covered everything, including the vote now. What I think is really interesting now is how the MPs are going to handle the debate tomorrow. Now, what I might do, if PMQs doesn't happen, as I suspect it won't, I will instead do a stream on the vote of no confidence, because it's a huge moment. Twinkies for everyone. I've never had a Twinkie, but I've heard a lot about them. But as I have this little I have this chocolate cake here, so I should be okay.
I should mail you a box of Twinkies now that I'm thinking about it.
Yum. So yeah, if anyone had any questions before I finish, please let me know now, and I will try my best to answer them before finishing here, because can't really cover the other questions the other MPs had. Twinkies aren't great. I'll take your word for it. Oh, and to Dave Styles, no deal compared to the other deal is certainly the best deal. Why was Dibula timed out? Did he insult T? He did nothing. Oh dear. Thank you for subscribing, Budfields. I appreciate that. Do you think Brexit will happen? I'm not sure. Why can't there be a hard border with Ireland? It's the historical issue, but also the trade thing. It basically comes down to the Good Friday Agreement, which is what has maintained peace. Many have argued that if the Good Friday Agreement is torn up, that both Ireland and Northern Ireland would end up going to war again, just cause. There were some MPs actually that did stand up that are from Northern Ireland, and they said that's a load of bullshit. Honestly, bullshit. There are checks already in place in that country, so this doesn't really make a blind bit of difference. But that is, of course, whether or not anyone wants to listen to the person who actually lives in the country where the borders actually exist anyway. Yeah. I think that's it, actually. Did you want to shill your channel before I left?
Yeah, if you're a broke nerd, definitely come check my channel out. I do 2 series, one called Magnus's Loot Crate and Toy Collecting for Broke Nerds. And
subscribe to Magnus.
Magnus Deacon on Twitter. Well, it's Magnus Deacon on Twitter and
I've
on
done YouTube, yeah.
And on here. And on Discord here,
too.
and
what are your opinions about trade deals between Malta and the UK and changes that happen after Brexit? It depends on whether or not we have a deal or whether or not we have no deal. So my opinion varies a little, I guess.
From the other American in the room.
Oh, hello, you're here.
I am.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay, well, we can keep going for a little bit longer now then. So what's good?
Hey. I have been watching your Parliament duke it out all day.
Yeah, I know you were, because I was as well. We were messaging.
I bet that was a thrill.
Yeah. For those who don't know, this is Trups LP. So hello, Trups LP.
Hi. Hello, Trups LP.
That's a good boy.
Hello, Trups LP.
So what did you think of all that we watched today? Because you and I were both watching this.
So I found myself actually quite enjoying listening to the MPs lean into their constituents and like really talk about like whom they actually represent. Now I don't know how much of it was actually grandstanding, but some of them seemed genuinely interested in the actual cares of their constituents. They even referenced how many of the individual people voted leave, remain. So I thought there was some validity, at least, to what they were saying.
what did you think about the vote now? What do you think should happen?
So, I'm happy. I'm pleased with the results of the vote, based on the conversations or the testimony that each individual MP was giving. It definitely sounded like that was going to be the end result of the vote anyway. But as to how to go now, there's been a lot of fear mongering when it comes to how the result of a no-deal Brexit, how it would go for the people.
Mm-hmm.
From a U.S. point of view, we decided we wanted to say fuck off to England about 300 years ago. And we did it across the ocean, and we turned out quite fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys maybe rely too much on the trade deal. Thank you very much, Bud Fields, for the sub.
And you subbed to Magnus as well. Thank you, Bud Fields, for doing that.
Oh, well, thank you. The purple person subscribed to my channel. Whoever that is, thank you.
Nice.
But I think you guys maybe rely on the EU too much.
And thank you to Shane Anderson for the subscribe.
Nice.
Actually, the funny part is, earlier I had one of the guys who runs the TF Source website sub to my channel too.
Brilliant.
Apparently,
as far as the reliance goes, it is that boogeyman argument I made very early on. This is how it looks. Everything's become the boogeyman, and the whole idea of just wanting things to be easy, therefore we'll just take that. If Brexit will happen, what will happen to Gibraltar? Well, if we take the deal currently accepted, which we won't, but let's say we do, eventually, then we have to renegotiate a sovereign deal of ownership for Gibraltar, even though Gibraltar want us, are ours, and will remain ours in perpetuity.
Well, it's been fun, but I think my internet's about to take a crap because it's gone red. And
Thanks
it's
for joining me,
there,
mate.
So I'll catch you guys later.
Hope you get some more subs out of this. See you later, mate.
Alright, catch you later, guys.
See ya. So does anyone know if they need to vote on the withdrawal of Article 50? Otherwise, can we expect a no deal? MPs are desperate to try and get no deal taken off the table. So I'm not sure. I'm really not.
They were talking about voting on the withdrawal of Article 50 all day today. It was that and voting on an amendment regarding the backstop.
Yeah.
There was one MP who introduced an amendment, I believe it was F or 7, one of those two. And his whole point was that he wanted the UK to have full autonomy when it comes to being able to remove itself from the backstop at its discretion. That way, they can't hold that over the UK as a whole.
Yeah, that was what was voted against by 600 votes.
Because it sounds much more incriminating than it actually is.
Agreed. That's why it's so amazing. By the way, isn't it refreshing for you to be on a stream and not be getting shit from the chat for once?
Yeah, actually. Well,
save that for Thursday.
Yeah, right? Especially after the video I just put out yesterday.
Yeah, I noticed.
It was funny.
Yeah. It's a shame you've jumped in when you have, because everything that needed to be said has been said, to be honest.
Oh, well.
It's good that you dropped by. No, you owe no apology. I started early because I didn't want to... I wanted to make sure I got everyone here, which apparently I did, which was brilliant. And I even got you dropping by later on, which is even better, because I got an American opinion, along with Magnus's, and along with his burps, on this subject.
I heard...
Yeah. I think someone said mute the Texan. He's not Texan.
He fucking sounds like it, doesn't he, though?
Yeah, he's a North Carolinian, I believe. Is that how you pronounce it?
Also, Ida D. Trups. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate that.
That's flattery. Is there anything you would like to promote then before I finish the stream now? Because I think it is.
Well, did everybody wish our Cthulhu-Kin a happy birthday? If you haven't, you owe it to him now to do.
It's not compulsory, but it's highly frowned upon if you don't.
I'm compelling it.
Oh, right. Well, pulling on that Daddy Trups thing, I saw it in the chat earlier. Don't think I didn't notice.
Hey, man, I have a wrench. I can do it.
Oh, I didn't realise. Don't type in the chat. I'll change that.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I'll
kidding.
Make sure I don't. Yeah.
Multi Morton, can we get a panty shot?
Who?
Yeah, probably you. Screw it.
Oh, of course.
Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night.